It would help if anything worked. All right. Hey, guys. Welcome back to the Shadow Mark podcast. Tonight's kind of a special episode. It's on a Wednesday, which is weird for us, right? We're trying to make up for the fact that we missed last week because that's what we do around here. We're here for you guys, and that's what we do. I am Derek Thompson. With me, as always, is Mr. TJ Davidson, and we're super excited to have our guest tonight from Doose Outfitters Ministry. It's Preach, and he is just an amazing human being so far. So just from talking to him, we've talked a little bit. I'm super excited to have him on. We're going to get a big story about what he does, what they do here in Nebraska, and I've got like I get pumped up about it. Anytime we have like Nebraska guests, man, I get like a little bit antsy and fancy, and I'm excited about it. So, Preach, why don't you introduce yourself?
So, my name's Chris Kness, and my wife and I, we operate Doose Outfitters Ministry, which is a 501c3, and we're located in the panhandle of Nebraska. We use hunting as a platform to help veterans that are struggling with PTS, CSD, high anxiety, depression, which we all know often leads to this suicide epidemic that we're dealing with as a veteran community. Currently we're in the process of raising funds for a down payment on a ranch that we're going to launch an equine therapy program. Will be certified by Hooves and Amanda Held out of Ohio. And so if I'm not mistaken, and I could be, so don't throw all your aces on this, but I think that we're going to be the only certified veteran-based nonprofit in Nebraska for equine therapy.
That seems like that would be right. I mean, what the closest thing I can think to like horses around here is Dusty Trails. Great company, by the way. But you know, they're not out there they're not hitting the veteran community, and you guys have such a unique reach right now with what you're trying to do. I mean, we're super excited. Hopefully we can get you some money raised. I mean, because you said what, 300,000?
300,000 is what we need to raise. That's the down payment. And this facility, we're already on the radar for Wyoming BLM because we're going to use the rescue Mustangs that the BLM pulls, because there's like 200,000 wild Mustangs that are standing in holding facilities.
I'm just going to go ahead and touch this base while I'm there because I've made this mistake. That's Bureau of Land Management.
Yes.
Not Black Lives Matter.
That's correct.
For those of you who aren't aware, if you're as ignorant as me, I've made some mistakes in my life. That was
when they start donating horses.
I was like, when they start donating horses. I was like, what's going on right now? I had no idea.
Bureau of Land Management.
Yeah, Bureau of Land Management. That's a new thing to me. I found that out when I moved to Utah, actually.
Yeah.
And then it kicked me in the nuts because I was like, I made a mistake.
Sure. It's and the thing is we've served over 315 veterans from across the United States since 2015. That's when we launched our program.
Right.
We became a nonprofit in 2017. And, the first 2 years, my wife and I, we spent our life savings in our retirement to get this thing up and going because it mattered that much to us. The way they throw the number 22 around, just it makes me livid. And when you've got bureaucrats and even the VA that don't acknowledge the real numbers out there.
Yeah, I was going to say, so I think the real numbers are closer to, I want to say last time I saw it was like 35 to 42 or something like that.
Well, and that might just be the veteran, but when you throw in active duty military, and then the numbers are so inaccurate because
right,
they don't. There's a lot of states that aren't required to report it.
Yeah.
You've got suicide by cop, you got vehicle suicide, you got drug suicide.
Yeah, I was going to say you got drugs and alcohol
effect. I was talking to a gentleman that's on the board of directors for Mission 22, and this has been probably 2 or 3 years ago, but at that time we were talking 137 a day.
No kidding.
Yeah. And so I was talking to a gentleman here just not too long ago that has a nonprofit here in Nebraska. He's up around Aurora. His name is Steve Hogan, and we were talking, and Nebraska, I think what they're throwing out there is we're losing about 100 veterans a year in the state of Nebraska. And Steve and I were talking about that, and he says, I'm pretty sure it's double that just out of the veterans.
Yeah, if I'm guessing, yeah.
So
that makes sense.
And we're not even touching, skimming, the active duty guys, and that even goes into National Guard and all that. There's just, it's an epidemic that nobody is wanting to address it properly. And the only individuals that are really trying to make an impact are grassroots nonprofits.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, you sit there and you look at it. It's like if you don't actually acknowledge it, it doesn't exist. It seems like that's what's going on with like the people who should be helping take care of it. It's just like no one really wants to address the issue, and that's where people like you and us, that's where we come in. We're trying to actually address the big issue.
Well, and and I truly believe this, and you guys know Steiner real well.
Yeah, I love Jason.
He's like a brother to me. I mean, I love the dude.
That's how I feel.
But between him and us and Jesse with Wheels for Warriors, I mean, we're kind of like the Tres Hombres for the state of Nebraska. And we're going to do everything we can as a unit, the three of us together, and do everything that we can do possibly to impact these numbers and try to get other Nebraska.orgs on board with us that are grassroots.
Right.
Because I think if you get into these national nonprofit deals, the lines are so skewed there. And I just, sometimes I think that they forget what the purpose is, why we're doing what we're doing, and if that's the case, if it becomes about you, then you're doing it for the wrong reason. It's got to be a selfless act and selfless service. And, and that's kind of where we're at because, Steiner will tell you, once we make a connection like with you guys, you become part of our family until the good Lord takes me out of this picture.
Yeah, that's how
So
we are.
you guys need anything at 2:00 in the morning on Christmas Day, you dang well better call me.
Absolutely, that's
You
how
know,
we are.
because
Let's make
that's
this
just,
quad. What is this? Quattro hombres. Let's make this quattro hombres.
simple.
I gotta go through my numbers here. It's like I'm learning
Yeah.
English again. 1, 2, 3.
Quattro,
Make us quattro.
quattro hombres.
Let's make us quattro hombres. So let's
Right
do that
on.
because I really do. I mean, just from the little bit of time I've gotten to talk to you, you've become family. Jason's family. I really do. I mean, I love all of you guys, and I just joined in on Wacky Wednesdays over on Every Day is a Saturday podcast, and this stuff is what gets me through my day to day. Guys like you.
Well, I appreciate that. I can't take the credit for it. Can I be cinco?
Absolutely, Brian. Absolutely.
It's just something that God. I'll be honest with you. I didn't want to. I fought God tooth and nail about going into ministry full time.
Yeah.
I did not. I mean, I wrestled him heavy and hard. I was like, I refuse. I am not doing this, because I watched really good buddies of mine's dads who were pastors and how they lived, and I was like, no, because I was working for the railroad at the time, and I was number 2 on the seniority board for UP and so I mean, my life, I was skating through life, man. I was like, everything's good, and I'll just do this ministry work on my rest days 3 days a week, and
right.
God wasn't having any part of that, man. When he dropped the hammer, he dropped it big time. And I was forced, my only choice was to surrender and go into ministry full time. And that's what we did. And, God's provided every step of the way. I mean, there were times when we were like, man, I don't even know how we're going to pay, the electricity bill. And the next day there's a check in the mail for what the electricity was going to be.
No kidding.
And so it's those kind of verifications. 3.5 weeks ago, on Mother's Day, my wife had to take me up to the ER. I had come to find out I had stones in my liver, and my gallbladder was 4 times the size of a regular gallbladder.
Holy.
And I was about as yellow as a lemon, and my eyes were yellow, and the doctor told us, he said, because my response was this something we can control with medication and diet? And he's like, here's the deal, you have 2 choices. You either have this surgery, or you leave your wife a widow. And so they shot me to Colorado, and I had to have emergency surgery Monday morning. So, but it's like I told her, I never felt any anxiety about it, or I wasn't worried. I wasn't scared. It was just like, God's got this. If this is the final act and the curtain's coming down,
right,
then I know he's ready for me to go home. My only request is, at least let me have enough time for my wife to get down here so I can say goodbye to her properly. And so, needless to say, as we can see, I'm here. So
you're doing all right. So we had actually had a podcast scheduled for then. And that was the craziest thing, because
because you tried to reach out to me, and my wife answered it, and she's like, I don't think so, because he's and you guys are like, what?
I texted you, and your wife was like, oh, I didn't know he had anything planned.
Yeah.
No, he's not gonna make it. He's sick. And then the next day you're like, bro, just had surgery. And I was like, what's going on right now? That was the craziest thing
J
to me.
just peeked in and said, I apologize.
Yeah, I just sat there. I was like, oh my God. Especially when you text me, you were like, I just had surgery, man. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah,
I was like, are you all right? I freaked out
crazy,
a little bit. I was worried, man.
That's the crazy ride that we're on. When when you surrender to God and He's in control of your life, I can't even explain it. I really cannot, because things that should terrify you don't. I mean, it's just like, and don't get me wrong, the passing of our daughter, that's been rough and hard for me to deal with.
Right.
And my wife. But the other side of that coin is that obviously she was suffering and she wasn't being transparent with us as her parents what was going on with her physically. And she was telling us she was just having migraines, and that wasn't the case. And her husband takes the kids to school, comes back because they had plans for that day, and he finds her in bed. And I mean, it shook our foundation to the core. I mean, it just.
So for everyone who doesn't know, you guys just lost a child, and I can't imagine how hard that is. My downstairs neighbor actually lost their daughter as well. So I'm trying to wrap my head around all of it. It's so hard to do. I can't imagine what you guys go through, and I'm so happy that you have God and faith to kind of help you get you through it, and just to kind of give you just my mom right here. Hold on. What I get, man. And this is Jason Steiner. He says, "What's up, y'all?"
That's my brother, Mr.
Yeah,
Jason.
I love
that dude.
I don't know why he comes up as Facebook user on my son.
Because
he's incognito.
Yeah, mom's telling me to get my shit together, and that's what she's doing.
Y'all need Jesus.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's my mom saying, y'all need Jesus. She's talking to you too. Yeah, I don't care what you're talking about, TJ. You're included. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. Wait for it. In 3, 2, 1, I'm gonna get a message that says that counts you too, TJ. I guarantee it. I would put money on it. I know my mom well enough to know she's including you. Check it out. Boom. She said that's it.
No, that's it. Just you.
TJ, you too.
Got me.
But that's what it is. I mean, no matter what you go through, no matter how bad it is, there's always a flip to that coin, and I've lost brothers, close relatives, and nothing holds a candle to this.
I can't imagine.
But the bright side is every day we can. It's like she's watching us, and she sends us little things to say, hey, I'm here and I'm all right, and I'm watching over you guys. And it's crazy. The other morning my wife wakes up, and her cell phone, she clicks it on, and her cell phone is automatically calling Paigey, and she says, I wasn't even, the phone portion of my phone wasn't on. I just opened it up and my phone was calling our daughter Paige, whom is the one that just passed away. And it was just like, that's crazy, but we just keep moving on, and we help raise her 2 children that she left behind that, in a fashion that honors her. And, she really wanted us to get this equine therapy program up and going because she got it, the fact that, number one, if you're a Nebraska veteran, you're not going to come see us. If you want to hunt, you're going to go hunt. I think in the 7 or 8 years that we've been doing this, I think we've hosted maybe a handful, maybe a half a dozen Nebraska veterans.
Well, feel free to host me because I got nowhere to hunt.
So, and it's crazy. So last year when we were at Hero Stock with Jason, so many people came up and said, "Who are you guys and where are you from? We've never heard of you." Well, when we first started, we were working pretty closely with an organization out of Tennessee. And of course, that organization, everybody that we got from them was tier 1 operators.
Mm-hmm.
And so we couldn't put our face out there, our names out there and promote us because of who we were working with. So with that being said, we, when we finally, that relationship came to an end. Hold on 1 minute. Freedom Hunter, that's enough. Lay down.
I thought it was my dog. I could see his ear poking through my
I got a 110-pound Roddy that's trying to make my wood floor cooler by scratching it.
I've got a 120-pound wolf dog.
Oh my God.
I can see his ear right now sticking through the bottom of the door. I was like, is that Oakley?
Yeah.
You son of a gun. I was like,
he's like, let me in, Dad.
Yeah, I was just like, oh no, he wants on his bed is what he wants. He's got his own little like king size bed in here, and he just loves it.
Oh yeah, that's the way Freedom is. His bed is my bed.
Yeah, it's his bed. I don't even argue this one. It's in the studio right now, so it's his bed.
Yeah,
I've got my bed. He's got his bed. Life's good.
Yep. So we help get back on track. We started helping Steiner out, and like I said, that dude is just such a breath of fresh air.
He really is, isn't he?
And those stock boys, I'm telling you, this thing's going to knock people's socks off. This thing's going to grow to the point to where, like Sturgis Bike Week isn't even going to hold a candle to it.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It's going to be Hero Socks 2023, and we're excited about that.
Knock them off.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. It truly is. I think, it's going to be one of those deals where artists are going to be reaching out to him because they want to be a part of it.
We hope so. We were just talking on Wacky Wednesday about it, and he's trying to get some bigger names, and that's a lot of why he's making it into he says phone's about dead, love y'all. But we were talking about it, and he said that's kind of why he's making it into he's going to try to make it into a bigger venue where it's going to be a multiple day deal, it's going to be a multiple show deal, so that they can bring in bigger names.
Absolutely.
To headline, and then give the little guys, or not, I wouldn't say little guys. When you got Scotty Hastings and Shannon Book, they're not little guys anymore.
No, and those guys are ones, in my opinion, and I you can take my opinion in a quarter and go have a cruddy cup of coffee, but they ought to be the headliners.
I think so too.
And Toby Keith and those guys ought to be warming up for them.
I think Toby Keith's about dead from the photos I've seen.
Yeah, he doesn't look too good, does he?
He's not looking so hot, but he actually came out to Afghanistan while we were there.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, he's been on, 120 some USO tours.
Yeah, he does such a good job about it.
Yeah.
And I got a free dinner on him. He does a great job. He's one of them people that cares about vets, and he really tries to show it. And and I
Well, and the
appreciate
sad
that.
thing
But
is I think a lot of these recording artists do have a heart for the veterans, but it's their managers that they're worried about the dollar bill.
yeah, we were talking about that as well. You know, I think Jason said he tried to get Coffee Anderson, and he said it was going to cost like $12,000 because he talked to his manager. It's like, if we could just talk to these people in person, I think it changes the story. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, absolutely. But it's just like with us. There's big names out there in the equine world that really could make a huge impact on what we're trying to do. But to get to them, you can't, because they've got managers as well. They've got, I wouldn't necessarily, call them it's their assistants that handle all of their social media. Social media manager maybe is what their title would be, but the message never gets to the individual that it needs to get to.
Right. Exactly. The whole thing's crazy. But I want to bring this back to you. So you started the nonprofit about 5 years ago.
Well, actually, in 2015.
Oh, well, yeah. And then you said 2017.
2017 is when we started.
Yep.
We got our 501c3
Yep.
status.
That's what I was going off of. So you did that, right? So what is it that brings you into doing this?
My dad's a Navy man. He served off the coast of Cuba during the Cuban Missile Crisis, and I see how the VA did him dirty. You see it every day. I went into the Air Force right out of high school. I wanted to go into pararescue. Had some medical issues come up, and they were like, "You never should have made it through MEPS." So ixnayed that and off. I'm on a flight back to Panhandle in Nebraska, and so I ended up going into law enforcement. Got tired of the red tape in that, and just went back to what I knew how to do best, and couldn't make any money doing that, and ended up going to work road. And we did commercial guiding for quite some time, and I just got tired of it. And I even at that point, we were still trying to get Bibles in people's hands. And I called a buddy of mine and I said, I'm shutting this 3-ring circus down because I'm tired of dealing with people that think they're entitled to full bag limits or trophy animals. Nobody's entitled to anything. And he hooked me up with a gentleman by the name of Bud DePlatchett, who and I can't even remember the name of the dude's nonprofit, but we got to sorry about that. We got to working, talking, and he wanted me to start working with veterans, and because we've got some really phenomenal properties that produce great opportunities for people. And we have one property, we call it the Sanctuary, that it literally heals the soul. It's that amazing. But from working with Bud and his nonprofit, it just kind of launched out and it became its own thing. And like I said, we started doing this full time. And it's when you got, like I said earlier, you got bureaucrats that they don't want to address the issues. They don't want to be honest about it. You got the VA that they don't want to be honest about it. They just want to create a world of veteran zombies. And, quite honestly, I'm sorry, but the military doesn't care either. You go in and whatever amount of time you serve, whether you were a career a lifer, or you came out on medical or whatever, they don't prepare you to deal with society and the way society operates nowadays. And it just doesn't work. And it takes people that have a heart, that quite honestly, that give a damn about our veteran community, and not only just the veterans, but our active duty servicemen and women that they've been put in a situation that in their own mind, that they think that the only answer is to take their own life.
Right.
And I mean, nothing about that entire scenario even remotely makes sense, or is even remotely right.
No, not at all.
And the sad thing is that in their mind, they've convinced themselves that it's going to make life easier for their circle, their ring of people that are in their wheelhouse. And what they don't realize is the ripple effect that just shoots through that entire wheelhouse, and it just destroys families and relationships. And one number people aren't aware of is that 1 out of every 3 children that lose a parent that is either a veteran or active duty, that lose a parent to suicide, 1 out of every 3 kids is going to commit suicide themselves.
No kidding.
So it's a generational curse.
Yeah,
and
it is.
We've got to come into this from a standpoint, this isn't acceptable.
It's not.
And quite honestly, it's the grassroots nonprofits that are going to attack this thing head on, because we don't have anything to lose.
We're not afraid of anything.
Yeah. We don't have to worry about losing, a $300,000 sponsorship that we got to make sure that we're doing everything that they want us to do, and now granted, we've got some great supporters. Benelli USA is a great supporter of ours.
That's awesome. They
donate shotguns to us that our veterans use if they don't have weapons to hunt with during waterfowl and turkey season. And it's top of the line stuff. But ultimately, when you look at it, there's veterans out there and people that they don't care that if they ever touch a gun again, let alone kill something ever again.
No.
So we've got to be able to get in front of those individuals and give them the same opportunities that we're giving the hunter, the outdoorsman.
Yeah, I mean, they have every right to have the exact same,
Absolutely.
Things that we were getting offered. Like, I love hunting, I love fishing. Like, to me, it just makes sense. It's just it's kind of like the circle of life thing, and everything comes around, and for me, it makes sense. That doesn't happen for everyone, but everyone has the right to be happy and to have that absolute sense of like completion.
Peace.
Yeah, and peace. And gosh, I just had this conversation today too with an older veteran from like the 80s. We were just kind of talking about that, and we were talking about like, everyone deserves that. Everyone needs that. And
absolutely.
Not everyone has the same story.
No.
But
well, that's okay. Just it. The PTS and the trauma that we've all incurred from whatever. Everybody's story is different. So for me to say, yeah, I get it, I understand what you're going through, that's a line of hooey. But
Exactly.
I can empathize with you and say, I'm going through, I've gone through something similar, and this is
Right.
what has helped me. You know, give it a shot. You know, if it doesn't work, you're not out anything. But if it does work, look at what we've done.
Yeah, that was the other thing we talked about. It's like what works for me isn't going to work for you, you know. And
Absolutely.
we
But
and I talked about it.
what I
I'm
can't
sorry.
guarantee you is that relationship with Jesus. That's going to make all the difference in the world. It's going to impact you to a point to where you start noticing the healing and the changes and the restoration that needs to take place.
Right.
But you've and you know, I've had this conversation so many times of, man, you wouldn't, the things I've done, the things I haven't been allowed to do, why would God ever offer me grace? And you know, why would he ever want a relationship with me? And I'm like, dude, have you ever heard of King David? Let me tell you something about him. That dude was a scoundrel.
Right.
No, I mean, slept with a married man's wife, and they had a child out of wedlock, and then he had her husband killed, and you know, but at the end of the day, God said that David is a man after his own heart, because David always returned back to God, confessing his sins and wanting to have that relationship repaired. And that's what it is. It's a relationship. It's not about religion. And I try
Mhm.
to explain this to guys. Religion jacks everything up, because religion is based on rules and regulations and controlling the masses. It's a relationship. What Jesus wants is what you and I are doing right now, to have transparent, heartfelt conversations and be honest. That's
I
it.
love that, man.
And you know, that's just reality of it. And it's just sad that, you know, these there's a lot of churches that serve their own, they're trying to serve their own needs, and they don't care who it affects. It
Yeah.
basically, you
They're
know,
trying to serve their own pocketbook,
yeah,
what it
yeah.
comes down to.
And you know, unfortunately for them, fortunately for us, the light is always shown on that, and they're going to be held to a set of standards by God, and they're going to be held accountable for that. And I tell you what, I don't ever want to have to face that music. You know, the only thing I want to hear is, well done, good and faithful servant. You did exactly what I asked you to do. And, you know, that's just to love on people and let them know that they matter, that we care about them, and that Jesus cares about them, and that they've got a family in Western Nebraska that they can reach out to 24/7, 365. And we're going to do everything we can to get them off that ledge.
I love that. I mean, it's just so great. So, you explained how you got into the hunting and outfitting and doing what you're doing. What got you into religion? What got you into the ministry side of things? Because you're an outfitter first or second or third or whatever. Whatever. You're an outfitter and you're a ministry. So ministry probably first. I'm
I was
assuming.
brought up in the church. I mean, you know, I was one of those kids that we were, you know, Wednesday nights we were in church, Saturdays
Mhm.
we were in church, we were in church Sunday morning and Sunday night. You know, when I was in my early 20s, I was training cutting horses down in Texas in Whitesboro, and my wife and I at the time came home to visit, and my parents had asked me if we'd go to church with them. I'm like, absolutely, I'd love to. Well, we get there, and right as you're walking in the chapel, I looked up, and there was a great big sign that said, God measures your love by your tithings. And I lost my ever loving mind. I mean, I did an about face, grabbed my wife at the time, and out the door we went. And, 2-3 hours later, I get a phone call from my mama, and she's like, I thought you were going to be in church. I said, well, when your church has a sign like that says that, Joe Baker, man, God loves him more than me because Joe Baker, man's giving more money to the church, I've got a problem with that. And so I walked away from the church for many years. My wife now, Ms. J, is responsible for me reestablishing my relationship with Christ. Her and I have been together for 15 years. And, in the first 3 were pretty rocky,
Right.
At any given time, she could have divorced me and nobody would have had a problem with it because I was that big of a dirtbag. I had issues with drugs and alcohol and pornography and promiscuity and guys have asked her, why did you stay with him if he was such a dirtbag? And she's like, because God told me he had a plan for us. And she said that plan wasn't just for me or just for preach. It was for us together. And that plan was Doose Outfitters ministry. And so, each and every one of us are created for a path and that God's designed us for. And how it just takes us, some of us, it takes longer than others to figure out what that path is. And once we do, and you surrender to God and you just tell him, the most dangerous prayer you can say is, use me at any cost, God.
Yeah.
I'm your servant, and mean it, because he will. And that was our prayer. I rededicated my life to Christ after us being together for 3 years, and that was our prayer, and we wanted to set a good example for our kids of what a healthy marriage looks like, and what healthy relationships look like, and what it means to do something positive with your life and not serving money. And there's nothing wrong with money, don't get me wrong, but money should be serving us. And money is a necessary evil, but if God blesses us with opportunity, it's not our money to begin with. So for me, it's pretty easy to give it away, and use it to glorify his name and impact other people's lives. And that's what it's about. It's about these veterans that are so beat down and broken and damaged and heart hurt and feeling like I said earlier, just nobody gives a damn about them.
Right.
And that's so far from the truth. But you look at the way society is, and we live in, the society we live in today is not the same society that we lived in when Reagan was president.
Exactly.
When Reagan was president, we had a patriotic nation that bled red, white, and blue.
Well, and hell, even when 9/11 happened, we had a country that bled red, white, and blue. You know what I mean? Like, everyone came together and they joined in hand in hand, and there were no issues there. Everyone was on the same page. And how freaking sad is that?
Well, but
that it takes something like that to happen.
The bureaucrats have divided this country. They're succeeding.
Oh, absolutely.
That's what they want. They want this country divided.
Oh, absolutely.
And so, and I'm sorry, but those serving on the other side of the aisle, they're quite content being a puppet for the government.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's exactly what they are. And I'm sorry, but that isn't what God created us for. And there's a reason why those amendments were generated and created. And it's not for the left side of the aisle to decide what stays and what goes.
Yeah, I agree with that.
This country was founded on Christian principles.
Yeah, I think it was too. And let's keep going with that. So, this is just me getting personal, I guess. What do you say to the guy that, says God owes me a little bit? Like, I keep bearing my heart out. When do I get something back? What do you say to that guy?
It's a timing deal. It's always about timing and what we, number one, God doesn't owe us shit.
Yeah.
He doesn't, because how often do we take God for granted? And that's something that you have to look at personally. And I can't answer that question for anybody except myself. How do you start your day off? Do you start it out in conversation with God? Do you, when you're in the midst of turmoil or tribulation, is the person you go to God? That's those are the kind of questions, and you have to search your heart. And my wife understands where I stand. I serve God before I serve my family.
Right.
And I serve my family before I serve our veterans. But if I'm serving God in the manner that I should, I'm going to make everybody else happy because I'm doing the right thing. And so you've got to look at your relationship, and it's just like any relationship. It's a two-way street. I can't come to you every time I'm down and out and say, man, you got $100 you can give me? And that's the only time you hear from me.
Right.
That's not right. A relationship isn't going to survive that, because pretty soon after about the second or third time of that garbage, you're going to say, dude, I'm done with you. Kick bricks. Now, God ain't going to say kick bricks, but I mean, you've got to look at relationships and how we treat people and how we treat each other. And that's been lost. That's been a lost art. That's been a lost lesson. When I was growing up, my granddaddy always told me, the thing you need to remember is you always take care of the widows and you always take care of the orphans, period. Because they don't have anybody to stand in the gap for them. And that's the way that my granddaddy taught me, and brought me up. And so it's about relationships. They can't do anything for me, right? I mean, it's an orphan or it's a widow lady. What are they going to do for me? But if I serve them and I can impact their lives in a positive way, I know that God's going to come back on me and say, well done. And so you got to ask yourself, how am I treating this relationship with Christ? Is this a one-way street where I'm trying to use him like a genie in a bottle? Or am I treating this like a real relationship that matters? Am I treating him like my best friend?
What do you say to the guy that feels like they're on the opposite end of that? You know what I mean? Where they're trying to do everything right, and just, it doesn't seem like God's listening.
Well, I think a lot of it is, number one, you got to get tied in with the right people. So, prior to me rededicating my life to Christ, when I was an outlaw, that's the easiest way to put it. I cannot. Scripture talks about a dog returning to its vomit, right? Everybody's seen that. A dog will puke and he'll go back and eat it and ingest it back up. And the scripture talks about that. And what that's getting at is you can't leave that lifestyle, that way of living and say that you're going to live your life for Christ. And you only do that on Sunday, and the rest of the week you're like a dog returning to your vomit. You're going back to that lifestyle and carousing and drinking and brawling. And so I think a lot of it is changing the individuals in your wheelhouse, that when you are struggling, they come around you and they lift you up, that you have that support group. And because those people, number one, it's about a question. It comes down to a question of your faith, ultimately. And when you are surrounded by individuals that are sold out for Christ, there's something pretty powerful in that. And, our board of directors and myself, when we surround a veteran and lay hands on him and pray over him, it's amazing. These guys, these are grown men that the tears roll out of them, big crocodile tears, because something transforming is happening. And when you can surround yourself with individuals that live their life that way, that are going to stand in the gap for you, it makes a difference in your thought process.
Yeah.
All day long, if I'm battling the enemy all day long and I keep calling my buddies that I used to go out hoovering around with and drinking and carousing, I'm just playing into the devil's hand on that, right?
Yeah.
And ultimately, so what good am I doing that relationship that I'm trying to build with Christ? But if I surround myself with solid Christian men, and they're out there, there's veterans that are sold out because Christ has impacted their lives. I'm that individual, what Christ has done for me. So I have life BC, and that's before Christ, and I have life now. And the man I am today versus the man that I was 13 years ago, 12 years ago, they aren't two people. 13 years ago, you and I wouldn't be having this conversation. Right. You and I'd be saying, so when do you want to hook up so we can go out and get in the B zone tied on? That's the conversation you and I'd have been having 13 years ago. But
so we would have been friends then. No,
I'm still your brother, because I'm willing to meet you right where you're at. I don't have a problem with drinking. I really don't. And scripture really doesn't have anything against drinking, but it says do everything in moderation.
Right.
And so as man does, as he does with everything, he can't ever do anything in moderation. It's above and beyond, and they take it and they ruin everything. That's just man in general. That is what happened when Adam and Eve did their thing in the Garden of Eden and broke that covenant with God. And that sinful nature is born into every single one of us.
I love that.
I'm no different than you. I just choose to walk a different lifestyle. And I'm not here to judge anybody. I don't judge anybody. I'll meet you right where you're at and say, like I said earlier, try what I'm telling you to try. What have you got to lose? Because what you're doing now ain't working.
Right. This is going to be my jerk moment. This is where I go, Hey, TJ, you're in charge.
Oh man, yeah. I
All
mean,
right. So hey, what is equine therapy? That's the question I
so
have.
especially when you're working with Mustangs, horses are a prey animal. They're not a predator. Okay. And so you have to understand what that chain is and what that looks like. Um, so horses are looking for leadership and for protection. And in order for them to make a connection, they've got to trust who's going to be the leader. And once again, it's about relationship. It's about the veteran creating a bond, a relationship with an animal that trusts that individual. Well, in order for that horse to trust you, you've got to be transparent with your feelings. If you're stepping into that moment where you're trying to make a connection with a Mustang and you're flighty or you're angry, you don't have your emotions in check, you're never going to make that connection with that horse, and that horse will not approach you, and it won't let you approach it because, quite honestly, you're intimidating it. You're a predator at that point. So it's based on trust, just like every relationship throughout history is based on trust. Good relationships are based on trust. And that's why I tell everybody that's a member of our team, you have to be transparent. The only thing you have is your word and you know, and how transparent you can be with people, and don't try to blow smoke at, up their butt or pee down their neck and tell them it's rain. Be honest. That's all we've got.
Man, I feel like I need to be a part of this. I don't know. That whole thing just, that sounds like something I really want to do, is build a connection with, I don't know. That's just, I don't know. It sounds incredible.
So, and how you look at it is, so the horse is looking at us for protection. It's looking to make that connection with us. So we've got to make sure our emotions are in check, that we're being honest with ourselves about our emotions, right?
Right.
So you're trying to create this relationship. And as you look at this horse, when you first step into the ring, this horse is running from you, right? So if you think about it, that's what we've done for 50% of our lives with our relationship with God, is we've run from him. All he wants to do is protect us. All he wants to do is have a solid relationship with us and say, hey, what I have is better for you. And I'll take care of you if you will let me. I will protect you if you will let me. That's all what we're trying to do with the Mustang, is we're trying to get that horse to trust us so we can give it a better life, so we can protect it, so we can actually serve that horse. But in return, that horse becomes a servant to us as well, because we're giving it an opportunity we're giving it a job to impact your life in a positive manner.
Love that. Oh, that's incredible.
And the thing is once you start becoming transparent and honest about your emotions and the scars that you're carrying and the trauma that you're carrying, once you can verbalize that, and the thing is, that's where it begins, because now that we've verbalized it, it's become real. Now we can address it, we can talk about it. But we have been trained as men that, doggone it, I'm a man, I don't need any help. And that's what screws every single one of us up. We compartmentalize everything, and we keep burying it and burying it and burying it. We never address it. So it comes to a point to where all of a sudden you've got all this crap built up in you, and some lady is standing in front of you raising havoc at the checkout line, and that's all it takes. That's the straw that breaks the camel's back, and you flip out. And it's because you've never dealt with all this garbage that you've exactly, Gerald. It's okay to be okay. It's okay to not be okay. We've all got issues. We all are dealing with stuff. And if we can be honest with each other and transparent with each other, we can help each other.
It's just wild to me. It's a crazy, I don't know, it's a crazy thing to sit there and have to look at and deal with. And I love how you put all of that. I mean, I never would have thought about, facing a horse and being like, putting myself in those shoes where I'm like, oh, I'm asking them to trust me. I'm asking them to do this. And you have to be completely honest and genuine. I never would have thought of that. Not in a million years. I mean,
everything that we deal with in life is based on relationships. Unfortunately, when we signed our names on the dotted line, the government has never been honest with anybody ever.
no, God, no.
And quite honestly, when our military is sent into hot zones, it should be the military that's making the calls and making the decisions, not some bureaucrat that's sitting behind a desk in D.C. that's trying to put another $500,000 to $1 million in his pocket, if not more.
Right. Exactly.
But the people that should be making the decisions aren't even given the opportunity. And the other sad part of that is, and I will hold to this till the day I die. The upper brass shouldn't be there shouldn't be insulation between them and the troops that they're sending off to die.
Right. I agree with that.
You should be more than a number to a 4-star general.
But if they know you, then it's personal at that level, though. If they don't know you, there's a disconnect.
But would you rather serve somebody that's going to have a personal relationship with you?
I agree with you. I'm just saying, like, that's what.
Yeah.
That's the way they're looking at it, is they don't want to be a part.
I don't want to have to deal with that. I don't want to have to deal with that baggage. I don't want to be accountable and responsible for that. I mean, the whole thing is screwed up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every bit of it is screwed up. And then they wonder why we're all head cases.
Yeah, I mean, exactly.
We throughout our military career, we've been manipulated and lied to. You're in the military. If you have suffered a TBI or any kind of head damage, if you go and report it, you're done.
Right.
You are done doing what you were trained to do. And that's what we hang our hat on, right?
Yeah. I mean, to your point, where TJ was talking about how, they don't want to be involved with us. That's where God does. God does want to be involved with us. God wants to have that relationship with us and wants to do those things. So, he hasn't made anything personal. He hasn't disconnected himself from us.
God has made it personal.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is he's not made the bad parts personal. But he's made it very much a point to be there, is what I was getting at.
Yeah. I mean, I tell you what I tell people that volunteer for this ministry, and even our board of directors is all veterans that went through this program, and they all battled suicide at one point or another. And I told them this is an opportunity for you to still serve in a military unit, but you're serving in God's army.
Right.
And the enemy you're going up against, he doesn't care who he comes after. He'll come after your wife to get to you. So you better be strapped on and ready to do war.
You have to be.
Every single day. You know, he's come after our family, after our family personally this last year. And I truly believe it's because this equine therapy program is going to make such an impact in the state of Nebraska that he doesn't want it to happen. He took our daughter from us, which crushed my wife. But had he succeeded in taking me, he would have removed my wife completely out of the picture, and Doose Outfitters ministry would have been no more.
All right. That's, man. Oh, it's just a lot, man. I mean, I don't know how you do it. I love how like optimistic you are about life. I love how you look at everything. It's very much changing how I'm trying to look at everything.
I'm just a gunfighter, and my family, I'm willing to die for them. And that's you guys, that's in your families, that's Steiner and his family,
Yeah.
that's Jesse and his family, that's my board of directors and their families, that's every veteran that's gone through our program, because you are our family, you're our tribe. And that's what I signed up for. That was the deal that I made with God. You know, I don't know if you've all have ever watched the movie Tombstone, but
yeah,
there's a line in there when oh doggone it, they're in the saloon and that they're talking about the devil and the deal that he made, and Johnny Ringo and Curly Bill are talking, and Curly Bill says, well, what would you do? You know, he says, I'd double back on the devil and bust it off in his ass. And Johnny Ringo looks at him and says, I've already made a deal with the devil. Well, I made a deal with God on the other side of that. And my deal is I'll do whatever it takes to save these lives. You just sign me up, because it matters to me. Nobody else is willing to stand in the gap and fight. And my wife, man, I tell you what, if it wasn't for her, that woman is a prayer warrior, and I know she spends many hours throughout the day praying for me and my protection and our board of directors. And anybody that is associated with our ministry, because doing what we do, we walk around and we got a bullseye on our back.
I'm sure you do.
And that was proven this year, you know, with what happened, with what's happened to our family. But it's not going to slow me down, because this is what I signed up for.
Yeah.
You know, so
you're a hero, man. I mean, you don't give yourself any credit, and I wouldn't expect that, but you are, man. You're out there. You're being a hero to a lot of people, and you know.
I just wish we could get to these Nebraska veterans that nobody is getting to.
And that's what we're here for right now, man. That's what we're going to try to.
I wish we could get these people in Nebraska to understand how serious this epidemic is, and that these grassroots nonprofits like us and Steiner and Jesse, we need their help in order to make the impact that we're trying to make.
Right.
I mean, you can only go so far with where we're with where we're at. And in order to take it to the next level, everything has to increase.
No.
And, it's just getting people to understand that we can't do it without them, and that our veterans need us. They need the state of Nebraska. They need the residents of Nebraska to stand up and say, doggone it, this isn't right. We've got a government that doesn't have a problem sending trillions of dollars across the ocean to help all these idiot countries that worship idols and they rape children and they prostitute kids, and our country doesn't have a problem sending trillions of dollars to support that shit. But we have veterans in our own streets that are dying every single day because they don't have a roof over their head, or they ain't receiving the mental health treatment that they need. You try to get a mental health appointment through the VA and you're looking at 3 to 6 months out.
Yeah.
If a veteran is reaching out saying, I need somebody to help me with what I'm dealing with mentally, he needs it now. He doesn't need it 6 months from now.
Exactly.
That's how non-serious the VA takes this.
Yeah, I agree. That being said, I love this as kind of like the final kibosh. I'm going to pass this over to TJ to wrap up the episode because he hasn't said a lot. So I'm going to be like, hey, TJ, this is your thing now.
Is he going to burn me down now?
I hope not. This is all encompass.
Yeah, you listen to me, okay? Now, so what if someone were to come to you guys? What would that look like? Do you go like on a hunting trip and like do you have deer camps and things like that? I'm assuming.
So if a veteran is in need, all he's got to do is reach out to us. The only expense really that he incurs is the expense to get out here. Because my wife prepares all the meals for these guys. We've got a drash tent that's, wired with electricity. It's got a pellet stove in it, and as long as it isn't 20 below zero out, you'll stay warm in there. So, lodging's provided by us if you choose to use it. And then the other side of that is we reimburse every veteran's hunting license that he has to purchase. So he purchases a license. When he gets here, he shows us his license and tags. We reimburse him for it. So he has no out-of-pocket expense.
Well, what's a day look like? So say you're going to go deer hunting, right?
We're up usually, depending on where we're hunting, anywhere from 3:30 to 4:30 in the morning, and we're on the road moving. And we're out in the field, depending on where we're at and what's going on. Some guys, they want a break for lunch. Other guys want to eat out in the field. And so that's the case. However that works out. And then, we're out in the field until either you harvest an animal or it's, past shooting light, and then you're back into HQ, and we're putting some of Ms. J's fine cooking in their bellies and just building on relationships and sharing Jesus with these guys and introducing them to Jesus. It's pretty laid back, It should, the way we see it is, coming to see us shouldn't be any different than you going to see your cousin or your favorite uncle or whatever. We want that. That's the feeling that we want these guys, that we want you to have, is I'm going to see a family member. There's no pressure. And that's just it. we're not going to beat you over the head with a Bible. That isn't what we're about.
That may be even what I need. Honestly,
some people
I may need you.
That isn't the method of choice that I choose to use, but it's just having honest conversations, talking to guys about where I was and the kind of man that I was before Christ and the man that you see before you now. Because before Christ, you'd have never seen me having these kinds of conversations because I was Billy Badass.
Right.
And that doesn't get you anywhere in the world. I'm sorry, but that hurts a lot of people.
So where does the ministries part of that fit in? Are these three separate things? You have the Outfitters and then the ministry and then the
They're all
therapy?
tied in. It'll all be tied in together. Yeah. So the ministry, it's amazing. It's pretty hard to deny God when you're sitting on a ridge glassing, 150, 160, 170 class mule deer and watch the sun break over the horizon. It's pretty hard to deny that there's God. And it's just conversations, it really is. And we try to have those conversations. And some guys don't want to talk about it, and that's where we leave it. We don't force it down their throat. But it's amazing how many individuals, once you start talking, and especially me, when I tell them about my life BC, and they look at me now and they're like, there ain't no way. And I'm like, yeah, I was not a good person. And quite honestly, I'm probably really lucky I didn't end up dead or in prison for life for some of the things that I did. I just never got caught. So, and it was by the grace of God.
I hope it's a bronzed one. The Bible is going to use to hit you with.
And that's the other thing is, every veteran that comes through here, we give them a swag bag that's got some pretty cool stuff in it from companies that sponsor us. But we make sure that every guy that comes through our camp gets a full-size Bible, and it's called the Warrior's Bible, and it's written for the veteran or the active duty warfighter. I mean, the side notes are all written, the Bible studies that are within it are written so the warfighter can grab a hold of that and it makes sense to him.
I need some of that in my life.
So, dude, text me your mailing address and I'll mail you one.
Oh, I love that. That'd be incredible. But
but ultimately God doesn't want you to have a relationship with him because I pressured you into it.
Yeah, he wants it to be natural.
Yeah, he wants it to be of your own free will and just to treat it like a relationship, I don't talk to God any different than I talk to you guys. Mr. Dean, get my cell number from Derek.
I got him.
I will. That's got to be Steiner.
It's got to be, man. But every day's a Saturday. It's jalapeno cheddar.
Absolutely, and so, I'm always available to anybody who's listening or watching this. I'm available to talk to, and you're not going to be judged,
right?
Because I'm the furthest individual to judge anybody.
Did you guys hear my dog fart?
I thought that was you.
No, that was my dog.
Come on now.
I swear to God.
Dude, Derek, come on.
I swear to God, that was my dog. I'm like, it just scared me.
Yeah, for a
It-
120-pound giant dog that I don't see right now.
I know, right? What I tell you about being honest and
What do you
transparent.
mean you don't see him? He's right there.
Oh,
Where?
he's blending in with the
Right
wall.
there.
Through the
He's
doorway.
I don't see no dog.
Oakley.
Yeah.
That one.
Where?
The one that just picked his head up.
You can't see it because your name's in the way. I see him there, though.
Oakley, come here.
Oh, I see him now. Good night.
He's big boy.
I could put my granddaughter on his back and she could ride him around.
She could. He's a brute, man.
He is huge.
There
I
was a
thought
scene
Freedom
about
was
that.
big.
Yeah, that was.
Night.
This is from Brian.
We all need Jesus.
That's a fact, man.
You
But
know,
what a great way to wrap up the episode, I think. You know, it's been such an honor. I've learned so much tonight that, I didn't think I needed to know, but I learned a lot.
my number's on our Facebook page, Doose Outfitters Ministry, and if I don't answer, leave a message. I will get back to you. I ask that you text message me first. That way I can get you put in my phone.
Right.
Otherwise, it's going to send you directly to voicemail.
Right. Yeah.
And I may or may not get that within an hour. It just depends. So if you're in my phone as a contact, it's going to ring and it's going to tell me, it's Derek. And he, I know if you're calling me at 2 a.m, I better be up and moving it. We better be talking. So
right.
It's just about saying what you're going to do and doing it and following through. And that's our follow through is you're part of our family until the day you decide you don't want to be a part of it.
That's same for us, man. That's exactly how it is for us as well.
I think TJ's like, I'm ready to get this thing over. I don't like him.
No, TJ's like, I'm ready for bed, and I never say 2 words on a podcast. That's why I throw him under the bus.
I've said way more than 2 words. Okay.
Yeah.
At least 8.
I'm working on them. I'm getting better too.
TJ, you got to have another question for me, TJ. Come on.
Well,
let's get a TJ question.
With the equine therapy, does that just involve like brushing horses? Do y'all try to ride horses?
We're gonna have. It's not about. I mean, yeah, you're gonna brush them. It's gonna be a lot of groundwork. And that's going to be your first time through the equine therapy. But if you come back a second time, then we can introduce the riding side of things. But it's just like any relationship, you don't ever rush into it because you rush into something that you've never experienced before.
Right.
And somebody's going to get hurt or feelings are going to get, you just got to move slow, and slow and steady is fast. That's how we were taught. Right. And it's that same way with relationships. Slow and steady is fast.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's perfect. TJ, I'm going to let you ask the final question of the show, and then I'm going to let you wrap the show up how you usually wrap the show up, but I want you to do it the cleanest way you can possible.
So am I supposed to have another question, or do you want me to ask, what did you take from this, Derek?
That's it. What I took from tonight's show is that I need some Jesus in my life. Honestly. No, I need to do a better job about listening and trying to actually do what I'm supposed to be doing because, I've been struggling for a while now, but it's because I'm not listening,
We all
Single
struggle,
day.
though, Derek. Every one of us struggles. It's
Yeah.
an everyday thing. I mean, I'm no different than you. It's just my struggles are different, and I've got people in my wheelhouse that when I'm struggling, I call them,
Yeah.
and
And that's
that's all
what I
you.
do too, man. You can
So
ask TJ. I've called him probably a dozen times last week.
Yeah, it's
Well,
nice to at least have somebody that you can talk to. Like I can call Derek anytime, and I know that if he's not at work or something, he's at least going to get back with me. You know what I mean?
and it's the same. I'm here for you guys too. I don't care if it's 2 in the morning. If the devil's coming out after you, call me. Don't try to fight him alone. Let's battle him together.
Yeah, I've talked to Geraldine here, I think 15 freaking times in the last 24 hours, 48 hours, because I needed stuff. He's just been incredible. Geraldine, aka Scotty Sneed, is my hero.
The other cool thing about it, though, is that when we are helping others, the impact that it has on us, it starts to change our lives too, in the way we see things. So
Right.
if I can impact you and get you to step back off that ledge, it helps me as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That
What up, Rick?
influence that I had on you influences me. The hardest things that I've had to do is funerals for veterans that have lost their struggle and
Yeah.
given in. And the hardest thing is looking their family in the face and saying, "There's nothing you could have done."
I mean, it's just impossible, isn't it?
Because here's the thing, if a veteran is serious, anybody, not just a veteran, if somebody is serious about stepping off that ledge, they're not going to talk about it. They're not going to let anybody know. They're just going to do it. The guy that is saying, that he's struggling with those kinds of thoughts, he's telling you, "I'm hurting. I need help. I need you to help me." And so we need to do a better job of listening. Like you said, Derek, there's a reason God gave us 2 ears and one mouth.
Mhm.
And it's so we spend twice as much time listening in a conversation than we do talking.
You hear that? That's what I'm doing.
I know you are an awesome student, man. You get an A+.
Thank you. Finally, somebody who appreciates
I
me.
know it, man. Nobody gets you, TJ, but I do.
I'm telling you.
feel you, brother. You and I are two peas in a pod.
TJ needed this for so long. This is exactly what he's been needing.
He's an A+ student, man. He gets it.
he was
sit here and listen.
he was a C- at best, but I mean that's because I know him. He's about to be vibing just based off those comments is what he's about to be.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, we've got some stickers coming that say "bow to be," because TJ was bow to be a lot of things over the last couple episodes. And if you don't understand what that means, it means you're about to be.
And he became an A+ student.
Yeah, and he bowed to be an A+.
So yesterday he bowed to be an A+, and today he achieved that glory.
Yeah, today he be.
No, it's be about it.
Be A+ today. But, it's just, if there's anything you guys can do, the one thing I would say is share our message, and we are one conversation away from shutting this deal down. And it may not be you personally, but you may have a conversation with somebody, and it might be them, or it may be somebody that they know. And we've just got to, we can't be afraid to talk about what it is that we're doing and what our needs are.
Yeah.
The more time we spend talking about it, and you know, it's like I tell my board, it's like I tell my wife, they can't say no if we don't give them the opportunity. We at least need to give them the opportunity to say no, because they could say yes in the same breath.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're about to be fixing this problem as a team and as a family.
Hey, man, we're cuatro.
Yeah.
Cuatro hombres.
Cuatro hombres. That's what we are, man. And we'd love to having you here tonight. TJ, what'd you take from the episode, brother?
I mean, I'm intrigued with the equine therapy. I think that's pretty cool to hear, like, that you have to get yourself in check before the horse will even trust you. But I feel like that's also teaching you to, put yourself in kind of like a leadership position, and also build up, like, for the veteran or whoever is going through that. It's going to build up their confidence as well.
Absolutely. You know, it's amazing the impact once you connect with an animal. Horses, honestly, are just like dogs in a sense. In order for a dog to lay down and submit to you, that dog has got to have accepted you as the alpha, and he has to trust you 100%.
Yeah.
And it's the same way with a horse. And so it's about trust, you know, and my wife says I'm too trusting. I trust everybody until they give me a reason not to trust them.
Yeah,
but that's just the way I'm just wired that way.
That's how I am too, brother.
You know, screw me once, shame on you. Screw me twice, shame on me.
I'm like, screw me for the 5th time, shame on me, but because I can't figure it out. In the meantime, I'm just like, yeah, nah, he won't do that next time.
Well, and I used to be totally different. You know, it used to be, you cross me, we're taking a ride to the train station.
Yo, what's up, Rick?
And so, it's the person I am today doesn't even come near reflecting who I used to be, and that's a good thing. And you know, it's compassion, it's caring, it's loving our brothers, you know, from a family standpoint, you know.
Right.
And I think that if we all just accept that servant leadership position, we can make an impact in, you know, not only in the veteran community, but I think we can make a major impact in the state of Nebraska and draw some attention from the state level.
I think so too.
And that's what needs to happen. You know, I've reached out to every level in the state, every office in the state,
right,
trying to figure out how we can get state help. And I never get a call back. I don't get an email back. I don't, you know, it's like, whatever, you're dealing with our veterans, we don't want to. So good luck to you. That's what it feels like. And I could be blowing it out of proportion. I mean, our youngest daughter used to work for not the governor, but the lieutenant governor. And she said he was an awesome guy. And maybe so, I don't know. But I've never seen a bureaucrat that gave, you know, 2 squirts about anybody but himself and his cronies. So
that's how I feel too.
That's my opinion, and you can take it in a quarter and go have a real bad cup of coffee.
I like that. That being said, let's kick it over to TJ for his closing words.
Yeah, I mean, I think we pretty well covered it. If someone's reaching out, then they're probably already to a point where they really need some help. So just don't be a piece of shit and try to, hey, I cleaned it up, okay? I cleaned it
Amen.
up.
Yeah.
But, listen to them and see and try to do what you can to help them,
Most guys that are in that place just want to be heard.
Yeah, exactly.
They want somebody to care and listen. How hard is that to do?
I mean, it's just a matter of being there for each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's not hard to do.
No. I mean, you might miss out on the next episode of America's Got Talent, but you're impacting life.
Yeah. And thank God you missed that episode. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like,
I mean, now if it was Lonesome Dove or something like that, at least I got pause. I'll pause it. That's a joke. Easy, guys. Easy. Come on.
I'm pretty easy. But
no, it is. It's just like you said, not being a piece of shit and ignoring the issues. It's stepping up there and saying, I got you. And that's what we have to do. We've got to have each other,
Right.
I'm trying to figure out what Eric was saying. But
Rick Stone said something and it came on the screen. And
I pulled it up for you. And I think it's brilliant. I mean, it makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely, Rick. Not and that's that is going to push somebody over the edge.
It doesn't take much,
No, they're already walking a tightrope. And if they're reaching out to you and you're like, dude, I don't have time for this or whatever, right there, you just pretty much sealed the deal. You've made what his fear is legitimate. People don't care. Nobody cares. Right. I'm in this on my own.
Right.
And we've got to break that thought process, that mentality of I'm in this on my own, because there's enough of us out there that care that nobody should feel that way. And we should be encouraging them they're not going to be judged. They don't have to uphold this image of I'm Billy Bad Butt.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I had to correct Eric's comment because he efforted it up. I'm trying to keep track of two conversations at once, and he's like, hope you're missing the next, or I'm using this line, welcome to Contagion Effect. Hope you missed the next episode of that show to welcome Doose Outfitters.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, what? So he corrected himself. But no, that being said, man, it's really been an honor. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you coming on tonight. And yeah, I mean, like Geraldine said, it takes 2 seconds to save a life. And that's all it takes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like Rick said, all it takes is a bit of love from humans. Take the burden on for them listening and they're hurt.
Yeah.
I love that. I mean, that's great. And that's what we wanted to do tonight. And I think we've done a great job at sharing that. And I think you've done a great job at sharing not only your mission, but, Jesus and everything that comes with that. I really can't tell you how much I appreciate you coming on Preach.
Well, it's not about it's don't get it twisted. It's not about Doose. It's not about Preach. It's about all of us and creating I was talking, Steiner and I were talking here a while back, and I had a few years ago we were talking about launching a program called Operation Archangel, and what that consisted of was like-minded nonprofits working together and not. I appreciate you too, Rick. Thank you, sir. About us not squabbling over the crumbs of these grants, but us going after these grants as a group and then using these grants for the entire group to impact all of our programs.
We should do that.
And coming at it as full force as a unit and just attacking these issues as a unit.
Yeah, that's been our big thing with the podcast here.
Yeah.
Is we're not competing against each other. We're all on the same side.
Absolutely. But
it's one team, one fight.
The mentality is well, there's only so much of the pie. I want that pie for myself.
Yeah, we don't care about the pie. We just want to be.
I don't even like pie.
Yeah.
You like my wife's pecan pie, I promise you that.
I need
Ms. J's pecan pie to knock your socks off.
I'm gonna need to try this. But yeah, we just we're all about it. It's one team, it's one fight. We're not trying to fight anybody over it.
Get over yourself.
Yeah, we just want to be on the same team. We want to get the message out there. That's all we care about. You know what I mean?
And for all these years, it's been about
100%.
Coconut cake. Coconut cake's really good, or German chocolate cake.
Bro, I'm a huge carrot cake fan.
But if we can just work together and it's like I was saying, for so many years it's been about us impacting everybody outside of Nebraska, and our vice president and the president and myself, and the entire board was like, we need to start focusing on our own backyard. We've poured out to the nation since 2015, and here we are 2023. It's time to focus on our own backyard and clean up the mess on our own back porch now.
Yeah, let's make that happen, man.
So like I said, it's just about having conversations, talking to people.
I think so.
DJ, I know that you don't talk much, so I get it. I understand you listen.
Yeah, I mean, it just varies day to day. I don't even know who I'm going to be, from one minute to the next.
He talked a lot during the Memorial Day extravaganza.
Yeah.
Nothing worth listening to, though.
It was all worth listening to. Are you kidding me? When you open your mouth, I stop what I'm doing.
Yeah, I want to listen. I want to hear what you got to say.
You probably really don't.
Well, guys, I really, really appreciate the fact that you took the time to have me on your program. And
well, it's been like, God, I feel like it's been like 6 months coming because we've had to reschedule so many times now. But no, I can't appreciate you anymore. You're family now. I love you, Preach. I love you, TJ. You guys are my family forever and always. I've got nowhere else to be. If you guys need anything, reach out to me. I'm
Same
here 24/7, 365.
Absolutely. And anybody that's watching this or listening to it,
exactly.
I just the one thing that I hope that you pick up from this is that you're not in it alone, and just don't. There are people out there that care and that want to impact your life, and you do matter. So just reach out to myself or Derek or TJ or Jason Steiner or Jesse.
Anyone,
Anybody. you're not alone.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be alone if you are. There's plenty of us out here that do care and that give a rip. And just call us because we're here for you and you matter.
Exactly.
Priceless. Your life is priceless.
I love that. Yeah, that's it. You finished the show for us. I mean, that was great, man. I can't say it any better myself. I don't think TJ can say it any better than that. You guys are priceless. We love you guys. If you need anything, reach out to us. Take a second. It takes 1 second to reach out. Live for the next second. Live for the next minute. Live for the next hour. We're here for you. Everyone's here for you. Let's keep doing that.
Absolutely.
Because you guys are important.
What you're going through
Yeah, live for Hero Socks.
What you're going through is a moment. And I think so often we get trapped in that moment. We all do at some point in time. We get trapped in a moment. But what we have to program ourselves to realize is that it's a moment. If you can get yourself out of that moment and realize what it is for what it is and make that phone call,
things can be better.
Yeah, there's no need to suffer alone in silence.
Nope.
It's not worth it.
You guys got a team. You always have a team. You got family here with us. That's what we're here for. You've got the Shadow Mark family. You've got the Contagion Effect family. You've got Every Day's a Saturday family. You got the Hero Stock family. I had a really hard time not saying Hero Socks. You
can only get those
two drunk
Hero
dudes
Stocks
in a
that
gun
you
room. Yeah, you got two drunk dudes in a gun room family. You've got everyone here for you, and that list is only getting longer because we're reaching out to people. You got Bourbon Battle Buddies. You've got all these different people. Everyone's here to listen to you,
and we're all coming together as a team. And that's the one thing that
Sit Rep 22. You've got Sit Rep 22 and Every Second Counts podcast. They're also on the list with Tom Edinger. We have so many people. You have such a large family here.
And I tell you what, I can't wait for September 9th. That this year's Hero Stock is going to be off the chains. I mean, it's going to be, with all of us showing up and being there and coming together, it's going to be powerful, man. And I hope there's veterans all over this country that are listening to this.
Yeah.
And they're putting it on their calendar, September 9th.
I hope so too.
Because you are going to meet people that care and that we're going to do everything we can to impact your life in a positive manner. And we're going to bring you into our tribe.
Exactly. Good looking out, Eric. Remind me of Sit Rep 22 and Everything Counts. That being said, it's going to be a blast. Eric Mell is coming from 1,600, 9 miles away. Let's get it, as he says. Boom. Check that out. And let's wrap it up for tonight, man. I love you guys. Everything's been great. What an incredible way to wrap up a show. I can't ask for anything better. If you want to hang out for a little bit, Preach, we'll talk after the show. But for tonight, let's wrap it up. I love you guys. Have a great night. Tune in on, Saturday, I believe, for our next episode. TJ's giving me,
something pretty like that. We'll come up with something.
Now, we'll be here Saturday, guys. Love you guys, and tune in. And thank you, Preach, again for everything. We love you.
Yeah, we really appreciate it, man.
Absolutely, guys. Love you guys. You're part of our tribe, and it's great to be working with such great organizations in the state of Nebraska. we couldn't ask for anything better.
I
So
love it.
it's an honor and a privilege.
And it's been an honor and a privilege for us to preach. Much appreciated.